What's good, people? Welcome back to my financial literacy corner. To give y'all a little brief update as to what's going on. Some of y'all are not aware that your banks are making moves in regards to stable coins, such as Wells Fargo. They're coming out with their own. JP Morgan already has their own. Some of your other banks are complaining in regards to the exchanges becoming neobanks now, getting them bank charters, such as like Citibank and a couple of other ones. They literally like are mad that the institutions literally have got their bank charters. But what what else would you expect if you're only giving out 0.01 to 0.02% APY and APR? Or if you have to have a minimum of $5,000 as a deposit with a 3-month maturation date in order to get 4 to 6% at your accredited credit union. I'd rather go with the exchanges too, because like on Kraken itself, and this is not financial advice, this is, like I said, literacy. Kraken is giving 5.9% APY on your stable coins. Coinbase is giving up to 4% APY on your stable coins. I'm not going to be surprised once crypto.com does it, and Uphold even gives you 5% APY on your stable coins, whether it's USDT, RLUSD, or USDC. So banks are going to follow suit. That way they won't be losing out a bunch of money, because a bunch of people are literally taking their money out of the banks, putting it over to the exchanges, because they're able to get more yield, because you can make money by dealing with the neobanks of the exchanges. Like I was saying, like with crypto.com, Coinbase, Uphold, Kraken, like all of these are set. So that's why the other day when I had posted a video to say, yeah, old money don't want you to make no new money at all. They really don't. Why do you think that they're fighting so much to say, oh, you can't do this, and we don't want them to make that much money, they'll be doing too much, we'll have over $6 trillion worth of outflows going and everything else, y'all can't this and that. Ain't nobody fixing to listen to them. And I'm gonna say it like this, because I highly doubt any bank will actually be looking at this little TikTok and everything else, but I'm gonna say this directly to the old school banks. Y'all screwed people so badly out of their money, and to the point to where we actually know that the money that's inside of said accounts, first of all, we're not the custodial holders of it. Second of all, any funds that we put inside of the banks, y'all will take out and trade it and this and that. That is the reason why we can't withdraw everything of what we have in our accounts from said banks, because y'all are too busy trading it on the open market. And then y'all will close people's accounts out and everything else like that. I even remember a time at the very beginning when people were really getting into crypto and everything else, y'all was shutting people's banks accounts down and, making it to where they can't access funds and everything else because you didn't want them to make money. This is what y'all asses get for doing it. Because I myself personally, I'm a pioneer in regards to it. I will utilize y'all as a middleman in order to mitigate funds and everything else. But once they really start implementing to where you're able to put your paychecks into stuff, kind of like how Uphold is doing, and you can get, various different currencies back and everything else. I think that's what the vast majority of people are going to do, because they're tired of being screwed over. They're tired of actually not having any money. And then here's the other kicker on top of it too. Y'all have beaten down people so bad to where we already know what y'all do. Ain't nobody fixing to trust no bank, especially when we can self-custody and do it ourselves on top of that. Why? Well, let me say it like this. Those hyper-intelligent individuals are going to self-custody because we know what's up. All the other people are going to accept those services of what's been provided out from what they're buying up on the back end. And you can do your own research, go out there and look. Your banks are buying up certain assets so that way they can offer it to the masses. So I got to ask you this question. Why aren't you taking the opportunity to go ahead and get into some of these assets while they're pennies on a dollar right now? Because remember, and I'm going to say this, Google, Tesla, Nvidia, all of those old stocks were pennies on a dollar. And you want to know the reason why most people weren't able to get in at that time and get in at the time? It ain't because they didn't have the money. It's because they were distracted. It was because they had so much other stuff going on at the time and what they were paying attention to that they did not dollar cost average. And the same thing is happening right now. You have some files that were released that's got everybody in an uproar, even though the vast majority of people knew what was actually going on. It was just some people that didn't want to believe it, even though that there is historical texts and references that indicate that they've been doing it for a while, but you've been distracted. Then after those files were released, war right off the bat. Think about it. You got all this movement in the background with the banks, the institutions moving forward with stuff, stablecoin payments and everything else like that. Swift's on a new system, whole nine. But the vast majority of people are stuck on these distractions, just like they did back in the 90s. They did in the early 2000s, a couple other things like that. So I'm going to tip you off to something else too. Remember one thing, all wars are bankers' wars. If you do your due diligence, do research in history, there is a certain family or families, let me say it like that. I won't go into detail about them because you will do your own research, but they funded both sides of the war. So if they're funding both sides of the war, it's a win-win situation for them. And any time that we actually have wars, notice there's an economic shift, there's a change of money and other stuff like that. So what makes you think this is happening right now? Especially what's going on over there in overseas and stuff. In the crypto space, there's a bunch of stuff moving around, but a bunch of people are distracted. So I would highly advise to you, be aware of what's going on in the world, but don't be so distracted to where you'll miss that bus. But technically, a bunch of people have already missed that bus when it was sitting there at the bus stop because they didn't want to have faith within inside of their own self and to actively see what changes are happening around us right now as we speak. Because the entire financial industry has shifted. It literally went flip mode on y'all asses. And a bunch of people, unfortunately, ain't paying attention. For those individuals that are paying attention, congratulations to you. For those that are pioneering and looking at, I see exactly what's going on, congratulations to you. I've really got to give it to those that are actively paying attention and doing something now versus later. Because here in about the next 6 months, all activity and other stuff is going to be ramped up. And there's people that's going to want to attempt to get in. But within these next 6 months, that window of opportunity is closed. See, because that door that was open, that door that was this wide open, has closed. Door closed once Franklin Templeton, Charles Schwab, BlackRock, Grayscale, all them started to get in. That's when that door closed. That window of opportunity is slowly getting like this. The closer that we're getting to the Clarity Act to be finalized, the more and more that window of opportunity is going to be closing. And then just like I told you the other day, you can actively go online and do research and see exactly which coins that the banks are buying up left and right, especially while everybody's distracted, all up in an uproar and oh, this and that, going at it and stuff. They're slowly accumulating. So I'm going to tell you this. Like I said, not financial advice. Why don't you emulate what those asset managers, hedge funds, and institutions are doing and start accumulating before it's too late? So therefore, you wouldn't be like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda at this time and everything else. You make time for what you want to make time for. And then in the end, remember, that's your financial future. What are you doing about it for yourself and for your next of kin? Hopefully you're doing the right thing. Thanks for coming to this financial literacy talk. Talk to you later.